Good morning. And welcome to this year's Student Press Freedom Day ceremony. My name is Nicola Alhanchard, news editor, reporter, and columnist for the Jambar, and I am your host for today's ceremony. Before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Student Media, the Anderson Program in Journalism here at YSU, the Youngstown Press Club, and Miss Fitzpatrick, WKBN First News, Andrea Wood on behalf of the Business Journal, and the DeBartolo Corporation. We have a wonderful selection of speakers today, myself included, who play various roles in YSU student media. To our high school attendees, there will be a brief question and answer session with our editors at the end of the program. When I speak, I will provide further instructions about that at the end of the ceremony. That said, please join me in welcoming Matthew Sattler, the editor-in-chief of the Jambar.
Good morning, everyone. I'm not a suit person, so that's why I'm dressed in this Western wear. Okay. So I'm going to give a speech. I don't have a presentation. That takes too much time. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Matt Sattler. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Jambar, and I'm also the former executive producer of Jambar TV. If you don't know me, you do now. Welcome and thank you all for joining us this morning. AI, artificial intelligence. And without a doubt, AI has become one of the most prevalent and explosive inventions of the digital age. It is to the technological age what the steam engine was to the Industrial Revolution. It is everywhere, it is efficient, and it is a growing concern for reputable journalists and publications. A Forbes report dated September 18, 2025 found that over 90% of 1,100 college students polled used AI to complete coursework. This includes undergraduate and graduate students, most of whom were undergraduate students prior to the advancement of AI. Another survey from the Digital Education Council found that 86% of students across 16 countries polled have begun integrating AI into their daily lives and coursework. I've encountered a number of professors who both champion AI and others who vilify it for its lack of humanistic output, as well as a number of students and friends who either love AI or hate it with a passion. I fall into the latter. We know that AI is great for generating pictures of your older family members that get reposted everywhere on Facebook. And I can remember seeing the AI-generated TikTok videos of Trump, Obama, and Biden playing Minecraft and Fortnite. AI is nothing new. Back then it was funny. I actually thought that was the only good use of AI. I still think it's funny. I didn't see it as a problem until now. But in the past year and a half, AI has become a serious growing concern. In the wake of Hurricane Helene in October 2024, AI-generated images of former presidential candidate, and current president Donald Trump swept across the internet. These images showed Trump in a life jacket trudging through muddy water and offering humanitarian aid to affected residents. To most, these images were obviously fake. While it would be noble of a president or presidential candidate to put themselves in such harm's way to provide aid to others, it just didn't happen. At first, I found the pictures quite funny because of how obviously fake they were. But the more I saw people reacting to these, the more I became concerned. If people could believe this, what else they could believe? Would they believe AI-generated news stories? Yes. In October of 2025, the Neiman Journalism Lab reported that 21% of the 12,000 individuals polled had utilized AI in media creation, which is roughly about 2,520 people. And in the same month, Vice magazine reported that a graphite study found that over 50% of online news articles they discovered were generated through AI. How much has it changed in the past 4 months? Well, let me tell you. Since taking over as editor-in-chief, I've received about 5 stories that were created using AI. And how do I know this? I, along with my amazing editorial team, we devised a lot of methods of weeding out AI with a fine-tooth comb. So from the moment a story is sent in from a reporter, it goes to the editors, and they leave suggestions and edits for the reporters to make before it is printed and we revise it again. The most effective way I've begun detecting AI is not by using an AI checker, which is actually very unreliable. You're having AI check AI, which doesn't end up working well. We just read through the story's version history. What is the version history? Well, Every story that is submitted to the Jambar, I won't tell you what format we use for anyone who might work for us. They have a version history, a document history. And it shows when the document was created, what was written, how it was changed, and who changed it. Now, in most, if not all the cases of our AI-generated stories, it seems that the reporters just lack the motivation to report. Now, as good as the AI market wants you to believe AI is at generating accurate and factual information, there are minute flaws. The Jambar follows the Associated Press's guidelines, something AI is either unaware of or unwilling to follow. Stories written with AI tend to be very fluffy. There's too much editorializing, too many Oxford commas, which I hope most of you know about, and too many differences from the normal stories that our reporter would churn out. Now, I look back at my first few months at the Jambar, and I used to sit in front of my computer just staring at the screen for hours looking for anything I could put into a story. And that was less than 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And I did not use AI once. I've never used AI for any of my stories. Not bragging or anything. But neither did my predecessor, John Ostapowitz, who I do not see here today. But John, if you are listening, we found that some of the AI stories that were generated when you were the EIC. And it just simply went under our nose. We did not know. That's how good AI is getting. We just now, in the past couple weeks, have discovered that we've had AI stories come to us in the past. We found that over 10 stories in the past year have been simply copy and pasted into a document without further edits or thought. All failed the approved AI checkers, and we still ran these stories. But with our new detection method, simply reading through the version history, we are completely weeding out all AI stories. And as long as I'm the editor-in-chief of the Jambar, there is absolutely zero tolerance for AI-generated stories. Our reporters are trained to find sources, set up interviews, and write about the topic they are given or choose. And if they ever need help, there are many editors and the editor-in-chief who are here to help them. It is not possible to pay AI for writing a story. And any and all AI stories are just filed away for write-ups and reprimands. I do not even want my editors to read through them because it's a waste of their time. Our most seasoned reporters, including myself, I did not get started with AI. I started in 2023 when there might have been AI, but I don't ever remember using it. We didn't have generative AI to write full stories in 5 seconds. You stay there. And it's just a lot different now, it seems. Because when I started, I used to be stressed and terrified of writing these stories because I'd run out of information. Now people just go into a computer, type in whatever they want, and 500 words later, like that, it's published. Not with us. To me, finding joy in a story you've created is mostly from the effort you put into writing it. It's like a painter looking at his finished product. It was a blank canvas, but now it is a beautiful painting. And that is how I look at it, very nobly. Writing, it enhances your writing skills. It increases your ability to conduct proper and accurate research, and it builds essential critical thinking skills. And I've trained many reporters, and I've never once told them to use AI. I don't allow them to use AI. I don't even use that word when I'm training them. And if I end up teaching here at YSU, and in 20 years or so, I read the Jambar, I can only hope whoever is the editor-in-chief is still sending out reporters to gather interviews rather than plugging prompts into a computer. So as long as I'm here at the Jambar, there will be no AI-generated stories. We are here to create human news, human interest stories written by humans, events written by humans, people, humans. Anything that we write will be written with these two hands, not a computer. I mean, not my two hands, their two hands. But you get the idea. Thank you very much. Our copy editor is Caitlin Obermeyer.
Thank you, Matt. Hello, everybody. My name is Caitlin Overmeyer, and I'm a copy editor on the Jambar. And speaking of people, my presentation also centers around the press and us making our work specifically for the public that we serve. When the pages are rolling off the printer every Wednesday afternoon, the Jambar's editorial members are rolling around in office chairs, passing pens, Associated Press style books, and printed stories for a publication we care about with a passion. In order to sustain this press passion, all our editors, whether we know it or not, exercise our editorial judgment. The decisions we make to enhance a story's content, conform to style, and realize a deeper purpose for each word and edit on the page. But while some may think editorial judgment is a skill mastered over time, it's a difficult and continuous process that we as editors must commit to every day. As a copy editor for over 1.5 years with the Jambar, I'm no stranger to editorially judging content. But I've come to realize that our edits on the page, no matter how much red pen ink we use, result from a synergy of our individual knowledge, our commitment to collaboration, and our mission to create the best paper possible. So to understand the importance, difficulties, and continuous development of our editorial judgment, I want to share a little of the knowledge that I've gained from the invaluable experience of the Jambar that can help all journalists and news people refine their own judgment and exercise strategies to serve the best possible news to the people. So first, let's explore the 3 key factors I've found to editorial judgment and its purpose. The first is knowledge. As editors, our individual knowledge bases enable us to provide unique perspectives when developing pieces to their best. We all bring our individual viewpoints and the knowledge that we've gained, whether that be through in-class experiences, weekly edits on the stories, we gain a lot of information moving forward each week, or our individual drives to learn more, to be more informed about the nuances of Associated Press style, to learn more about large world events and local events happening right here on campus, and to understand the multiple perspectives and sides of an argument. We also are all driven by a desire to ensure truthful content that builds our credibility and our connection to the audience, and also creates the best possible paper. So leaning into and practicing these aspects of knowledge allow our editors to make logical, beneficial edits on pieces that enhance audiences' understanding and connection. Our second aspect is collaboration. Editing is not and should not be a solo process. The benefit from communication and multiple perspectives working together on stories allow us to enhance a piece's sensitivity, build our confidence as editors, and develop our critical thinking skills. We want to consider how we sensitively present language and show that we care for our audience. So oftentimes on the paper, we debate how to talk about race, religion, gender, suicide, and other social, cultural, and political aspects. We want to communicate that care for the people that we report for. We also build our confidence. Making edits can be a nerve-wracking process. And as editors, when we speak and we collaborate and we consider all the perspectives, we're able to confidently move forward in what we know and what we think is best for our audiences. And also, it engages us with critical thinking skills that give us real-world experience moving forward when we continue in our professions, whether in journalism or journalism adjacent. So working together allows us to address issues with sensitivity, confidence, and the essential critical thinking. And the third and final aspect is mission. Overall, as editors and journalists, we need to remember our higher purpose, to inform the public to the best of our ability, exercising truth. At the Jambar, to successfully edit, we remind ourselves of our larger purpose and keep trying to reach that best. Recently, we started establishing weekly reporter and editor meetings to improve the content that's coming out and how we report for our audiences. But the essential question that came up when developing these meetings was we considered why we care so much. Why we care so much for this purpose in journalism and what we do. And that drove us to remember is that we care about each other and we care about the people at large we report for. And so in that, we prioritized expanding the abilities of our writers, wanting them to develop those writing, interviewing, and photography skills that Matt talked about earlier, so they can find professional success as well as success for the audience, who is well informed with what we're able to give them. This mission motivates us to keep going, keep growing, and keep working for the purposes of journalism. So overall, these aspects of knowledge, collaboration, and mission fuel our editorial judgment. They keep us wanting to help reporters, stories, and audiences achieve their best. As we continue to produce news, I hope the practices and values of editorial judgment stick with all reporters, editors, news developers, and students up and coming to deliver their best for the people. Through a trifecta of knowledge, collaboration, and mission, we can continue to develop the Jambar in constant change with the community it benefits. So when we sit down in our seats tonight, in the office, rolling around to pass papers back and forth and make edits to stories, we will remember that editorial judgment enhances journalism every day for everyone. Thank you. I now have the pleasure of welcoming our head sports editor, Marissa Masano. You got this.
Okay, so I don't have a PowerPoint. I'm not really that kind of student, I suppose. But my name is Marissa Masano. I'm the head sports editor, and I'm also a sports reporter here for the Jambar. Just a little background of how I got started. I've been an athlete all my life. I play for the women's soccer team here. And when I was a freshman, I wanted to get hands-on experience. And like Matt mentioned earlier, John Ostapowitz was the editor-in-chief, and he opened that door for me. And from the minute I stepped foot into the Jambar office, I was writing and I was learning. And I remember my first story probably was half of a page because I didn't know that newspapers actually put in a lot of work. A lot of work we go through every week, all month. The only week we get off is spring break, which is soon. So thankfully we have that. But like I said, I got hands-on experience right away, and I wanted to be a part of sports even when I'm done here in college. So being a sports journalist has given me the opportunity to stay on the sideline even when I'm not going to be an athlete. Matt and the rest of this team here, like I said, it's a team. So I've been on a team all my life, and now I'm with this team, and I'm incredibly grateful for that opportunity. And we have done so much growth in sports. It's not just statistics and players, but we really put emotion. Because as a sports writer, I believe you should be a sport fan. And you should care about these athletes, and you should care about the sports that you're writing about. And I believe that a lot of our sports reporters have those qualities. We've done a great job, especially writing about business of sports, sports at the next level, athletes, their individual journeys, how they dedicate their lives outside of sports is something we've really been focusing on. And I'm just incredibly proud of the team we have here. Sports is always changing. Journalism's always growing. So the two hand in hand, it's a very fast-paced environment. And I've learned that if you're not willing to keep up, you're going to fall behind incredibly quickly. And luckily enough, when I make mistakes, they hold me accountable. And we do the same back and forth. And I think that's the most important part about student journalism, is that we're all students. We all have class schedules. We all have lives. And we each understand that aspect about our lives. We don't have, Matt's the boss. He's the boss. But we can go pass ideas back and forth, and everyone's on the same equal playing field. And I believe that's another great part about the Jambar. Another point I just want to talk about is how much sports is really more about the people behind them. Athletes, like I'm an athlete, and there's a lot of judgment that comes from people, even when they don't really know what athletes are going through. Like this morning, I was up at 5 a.m. because I had practice at 6:15. It was a lovely time. And now I'm here. And if I didn't tell you that, you probably wouldn't have known. So a big thing for me being a sports editor is even when the teams lose, the teams and their players are growing. They put in a lot of work. So I just think it's about, you don't know them, you don't know what they're going through. And especially when you go through interviews, it's keeping that in the back of your mind. Being like, this coach is making time in their day. This athlete is making time in their day for you to speak to them and hear about what they're going through and what they have to say. on or off the playing field. And sports is a big thing. There's a lot of fans. How many people in this room watch sports? That's a lot of people. So you're feeding a large audience. And I've learned that not everyone is going to love what you have to say about sports. But that's okay. We're all different. We all have different opinions. Sports isn't really the biggest of public issues. I know my job's much easier than the people who have to chase around President Bill Johnson. So I'm grateful for that. But yeah, sports is something that I've been a part of all my life, and the Jam Bar has given me that opportunity to live through sports even when I'm done here. So that's really all I have to say, and now I'm going to pass it to Mick Dillon, who's another one of our editors.
Hi, I'm Mick Dillon. Like Marissa said, I am Arts and Entertainment Editor here at the Jam Bar. I also do reporting. I just want to share a little bit about my personal experience as well as the importance of community that the Jam Bar has given. So I'm originally from Idaho, and I didn't, to find Youngstown, you kind of wonder, how do you end up from Idaho all the way out here to Youngstown? Well, I Googled cheapest rent USA. I was about 18 years old, and Youngstown was right at the top of the list. So I came here and decided, well, I'll figure something else out. And started at YSU, walked into the Jam Bar. I've always known I wanted to write. And the editor-in-chief at the time, John Ostapowicz, I walked in, shook his hand. He hit me with the, "I'm John Ostapowicz." And he asked what I wanted to write about. I said, well, probably sports. I enjoy, watching sports. I could probably talk about it and write about it. And he said, well, sports are a little saturated right now. How about you try something else? I said, all right, sure. I just want to get my foot in the door. He put me in arts and entertainment. And that really, it was a little bit nerve-wracking because I don't know much about the community. And he wants me to come in here and report on the community. Kind of gave me imposter syndrome a little bit of, I have to act like I know what I'm talking about. Well, I really didn't. I just had to learn and I had to make connections. And that was really easy to do here at the Jam Bar. So whether it's talking to businesses, getting in touch with people in the community, I've learned so much about this place. And I'm able to call it home now after I've learned so much and been able to report on it. Local businesses are so important for entertainment, whether it's coffee shops, pizza places, bars, anything like that. Everybody has such a unique story. One thing I've learned about Youngstown is this place has really, really deep roots, and a lot of people that want to stay in touch with those roots and that are hanging on to that. So through talking to all of these businesses and things like that, I've learned the unique struggles of this city and the great things about this city. Downtown has always been a really big point of emphasis ever since I've been here. It seems like there's been an ongoing reclamation project of downtown, trying to get people out, whether it's construction or people just not going and spending their money downtown. All of the business owners kind of are banding together and trying to get more people involved in the community. And through my reporting, I've been able to have a direct impact on that. And it's really rewarding. I'm able to make fantastic connections. I was able to cover a portion of the mayoral race recently, which was hugely important. That was another thing where I kind of got thrown into it, and I had to learn about the mission of each candidate, the pros and cons of them, and then I got to relay that information to everybody else. And that's been really important. So journalism is a fantastic tool to get in touch with your community, to be a part of something, and to make a difference. And I encourage everybody in this room, if you think about getting into journalism, it's a fantastic way to build relationships and community. To piggyback off of Marissa's team statement, we really are a team, we're a family. I've learned so much from these guys, and we continue every day, week in, week out, to learn new things. So that's about all I have. I'm going to pass it to Christofaro.
The PowerPoint. Oh, it's in Adobe Express. But I emailed it to you. On which one? It might be close-sided. But then it just goes straight to it. Please go straight to it.
Hi, good morning. I'm Christofaro. So I'm going to be talking about what goes into designing the paper and how it can affect journalists. So I am a senior MCOM student, of course, and I'm the head designer of the Jambar. So I started at the Jambar back in spring of 2024, and I started as the assistant, and I became the head designer just this past fall. And I also work for JTV doing graphics, which is just like putting the lower thirds in for like just like when you see people's names like for news and stuff, but I'm just kind of focus on what designers do. So we kind of like we put everything on the page, so and we kind of just make the newspaper like the newspaper. So we edit and enhance the photos for color and black and white pages. We make sure everything is evenly spaced between margins, text boxes, photos, headlines, and we make sure it's all visually appealing. And then we finalize everything and send it off to the printing company. So it like why is it important? It's important because like we're portraying a story more than just like the writing. We're like kind of enhancing what journalists are writing like through the visuals that we're putting on the page. So it's not just what you say, but what you see. For people like to see the page, like they probably are looking at the page before they're reading it. So what they're seeing visually, you want it to kind of like capture their attention so that they'd be interested in reading it. So you're also like telling a story with your photos. So another part that, and so like you're telling the story with, yeah, I just said that, sorry. And then the photos and visuals can also like make the story more real for the readers. So like you have a photo of what's going on so they can kind of apply more to it instead of just reading what's on the page. They're like, oh, like I can see what's going on. So it just makes it more personal. And something that's also a really big part of design is photo composition, because you can make a page look like really beautiful, and then you can have photos that maybe the composition is a little off and it just kind of might throw a curve at us, and it's like, okay, what can we do with this? So photo composition can also be super important. And so I just kind of have like this last slide to finish out, just kind of like a little recap of like photo composition, because something that our journalists do at the Jambar is they also have to take their own photos. So just kind of like a basic like photo composition guideline is the rule of thirds, which kind of just focuses on the subject being where like the lines intersect. And so like you have this little puppy here and like so it kind of just intersects with like the line of thirds. So it's just kind of more visually appealing and just kind of captures your attention in a way that isn't just like just dead on its center. And it again just kind of makes everything like look little bit better, and just kind of makes everything look fun and kind of draws the reader into picking up the paper. So it just like puts everything together into one thing. But yeah, so overall, I think design is a pretty important part of like print news because it just puts everything together into one. But yeah, thank you for your time. I hope you've learned more, and please welcome Technical Director, Video Editor, and President of Penguin Media Works, Emily Smith. Did you email your
Yeah, it's just
presentation?
up at the top. My student experience. Where? This one.
Yeah,
There we go.
thank you.
Okay.
There we go.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning everyone. My name is Emily Smith. I am a senior MCOM major, so a little sad to be leaving so soon, but I'm here to talk about my involvement in Jambar, but also about something a little different called Penguin Media Works. And so I have a few visuals to go with my jobs and everything, just so it's a little bit easier to understand. So my positions include video editor, technical director, and I'm co-president of Penguin Media Works. And so, okay. As a video editor, this is kind of what things look like. I feel like a lot of people, when they think of video editing, they kind of think of the final project, or like kind of what you see at the end. But this is what it looks like in the process. Yes, that says men's basketball. It's not men's basketball, it's a bench. But yeah, so that's what it looks like. We can adjust colors, and we can adjust a bunch of cool things. And the things that I'm adjusting are things that I receive from the reporters. So they give me footage, they give me voiceovers, SOTs, which are sound on tape, and just other things like that. They're all components that I have to compile into a tangible product that people can watch. And much like video editing, I'm the technical director. And so it looks a little different. It still looks pretty involved, which it is, but I would like to say that technical directing is kind of like live editing. So you have a show, you have components, just like video editing, but for this, I don't have to just like go off a script. I'm going off of what a director is telling me. So the director, he will instruct me on what to do, and I have to translate what he wants into the board, which is a TriCaster or switcher. And so, yeah, it's definitely my most like high pressure job, but it is really fun and rewarding. So if you're ever interested, I recommend don't be scared, just try it. And then for Penguin Media Works, this is a little different. It looks a little crazy. So Penguin Media Works is a student-led media club that I'm co-president of, and Antonio is co-president of. And basically, we like focus on making quality multimedia content, specifically short films we've been doing a lot of, but we have a multi-camera production that we're going to do, and then we're also considering short-form media content as well. So we do a lot of that. We have membership in Broadcast Education Association, so that's where we're able to submit the things that we make into contests and festivals, see if we win anything. And if you haven't heard of it before, that's because we started late last semester, so we're rather new. So if you're interested, we're open to accepting new people all the time. And yeah, in this club, we encourage people to try new things, be creative, really get hands-on experience. I think that's one of the most valuable things I received in college is just hands-on experience, because I feel like I learn a lot by doing, and I feel like a lot of MCOM people and journalism people, they do that too. So it's a lot of repetition, it's a lot of trying maybe a position you've done before you want to get better at. So there's a lot of opportunities with that. Oops. And then also, this is a picture from yesterday. We were shooting a short film, and it's amazing how many friends you'll make in this. It's just really cool to work together, and it's really cool that we can be students together, but then also upon graduation, we are part of a network together. So I think it's really valuable in that. And the theme for today is resilience in action, so I figured I would talk a little bit about that. But I found that around halfway through my degree, I realized like, I kind of want to do like films and movies and stuff like that. And I feel like here there's a lot of like journalism opportunities, a lot of sports opportunities, it's all kind of camera centered too, so that is helpful. But I did find that there was a need that I had for that, and I found that my friends also had a need for that. And so it's been an honor to be able to, instead of just give up and be like, well, I'll figure it out when I graduate, I guess, I've been able to create the thing that I needed, and it's been something that my friends needed too. And so that's been a real honor to share that with my peers. And so just some like final words and everything. Like, this was a bit of my student media experience so far. I'm really thankful for everything that YSU has given me with experience. And I encourage you, if you're in high school, if you have a little more time left than me in college, or just in general, if you see a need for something, I encourage you to be bold and just create that outlet, because it's not just for you, it's for other people. So thank you. Okay, and now I would like to welcome Nicarlo back up. So, thank you.
Good morning again. I would like us to give all our speakers another round of applause, because they said some very interesting. They all said things that are very pointed and very interesting and very, very personal to the job. I don't have much to say today, unfortunately. I am a young man of a lot of thoughts, a lot of words, but I don't know what to say today. I wrote and rewrote a speech. I practiced a little bit, and I was kind of stumped on everything to say. Because what else can I say about student media? I just do it because I love it. A lot of persons wonder what their purpose is in life. I can't say what my purpose is, but I know that every time I get an assignment from Matthew, because I cannot come up with stories myself, I need somebody to instruct me on how to do things, I do it. I do it because that's what I want to do. I do it because I know that there's people out there who aren't in a position to ask the questions that I'm going to be able to ask. And I take that as it's a heavy weight, but it's also a very responsible thing. I had an interview recently, and I always sing the praises of journalists that we help people tell their stories. And this gentleman said, maybe when you write your story, more people will tune in to what I have to say. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. And then I hung up the phone, and then I said to myself, oh, this is serious stuff. Having someone say outright that they are dependent, not entirely dependent, but they are hoping that your feature, exposing them to a wider audience, will bring more people into what they have to say and to share in their content and their stories, like a very important thing to me, because I think we all have stories to say, and I would be very honored to help any of you, all of you, tell your stories at some point in time in the near future. Student media, resilience in action, as Emily said, is a theme for this year. But what does it mean? What does it mean to be resilient as a journalist and as a student? Per the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it is the ability to recover or adjust easily to misfortune or change. And in this wonderful profession that we all love or aspire to endeavor in, changes happen very quickly, and being able to adjust and identify challenges and determine the appropriate solutions is very important when writing a story or contacting sources. In context, I believe being resilient means showing up and doing the work of a reporter, especially, and I mean especially, in the face of adversity. I would also like to add that resilience may show up in many different ways. I mentioned contacting sources. That task could be a test of one's patience, faith, and their resilience. You might ask yourself, why am I doing this? Because I've definitely asked myself a couple times, why am I doing this? You may think to contact other sources, to add a research element to your story, to give up even. These may all be choices that you have explored, have attempted, and sometimes wanting a source to just say one sentence is the icing on the cake for your story, and it just won't happen. But you keep on. You call the source again. I'm going to say this. and I'm sorry to anyone who I offend, but don't be afraid to be annoying. Please don't. The worst they can say is in fact a no. And you take that no and you smile and you move on. Because that is what it means to be resilient. Resilience in the profession itself, not specifically as a student journalist. In my first year back home, I had a professor who was a renowned reporter, and I did not know that until I had his class. But he mentioned journalism as a profession where we are in the face of danger sometimes. And he said, this is not a profession for the faint of heart. I don't know about anyone else in here, but my heart is very faint. Okay, very, very faint. I have anxiety, among other things, but my heart's very faint. And I felt like that was a personal attack on me because, sir, why would you say that? Okay, I just left high school, leave me alone. But I weighed my options. I learned the history of the profession, and I understood why I wanted to do what I want to do. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. So resilience for me is my continued pursuit of this degree. It is my attempt to help people tell their stories in the best way I know how and to further the proponents of ethical journalism. I firmly believe that journalism is a profession for the people by the people, and I will do my best and my very bestest to ensure that it is seen that way by people. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the perception of the media in the public sphere today has changed, and it keeps changing. Some people prefer their news from independent media sources, others from established news organizations, and some don't care for news at all. News is more than just the bad stuff that happens. There are feature stories that make likes to do, and it builds community in a way that you may not experience elsewhere. A brief aside. We have a few minutes left to go. I have a few friends who are studying to be doctors. A few years back, they started to repost a TikTok, and the opening lines to that TikTok were, if the past few years of the pandemic have not deterred you from wanting to pursue medicine, this video is for you. And I thought to myself, okay, cool. What about me? Because they knew they wanted to study medicine, and they have continued to pursue that dream. That determination is what I want from us as a part of student media and everybody who wants to enter into communication or any form of media. You're going to experience pushback. You're going to experience negative looks. You're going to experience smiles that aren't really smiles. But remember why it is that you want to do this job, this work. I don't want to be altruistic or anything or any of that, but it is bigger than us in a way that we may not understand yet, or maybe we do understand and are afraid to really appreciate the work that we are going to have to do, but it's fine. You're going to have your friends, you're going to have your community. Sometimes you don't know what to do with a story or a source, and you walk into a newsroom and you say, guys, I have a problem and I'm going to scream, but I need your help afterwards. I do that very often. They're tired of me, don't worry about it. But you do it again because you're in a position to ask questions to important people that the average person may not have. And I would like us all to take great care and pride in that. So to round this out, I'd like to ask you guys a question. And you don't have to answer it right now. You can let it marinate for a little bit. You may have an answer right away. It's fine. But if you do have an answer right away, I'm going to ask you to let that answer marinate, because why do you think that? But my question to all of you who work in student media or who hope to work in student media and maybe later in the professional media landscape, what does resilience in action mean to you? And with that, I say thank you. I would like to thank everyone in attendance today from our various classes, faculty, staff, my co-workers, and our high schoolers. The news media who are here also, thank you for attending. I really appreciate it. I didn't do much of the heavy lifting to plan this. I just had to invite my peoples, and I did, and they're here, and I'm very happy that they all said some very interesting and inspiring things, because I was inspired by all of you. Please, I hope you were too. I really do hope you were. If not, we're gonna run this back real quickly. But But yeah, that's the end of this. Before we clap once more to our high school students, if you're in the back, I'm going to ask that you come forward. And my fellow editors and myself, we will do our brief question and answer session. But to everyone, I thank you greatly and have a wonderful spring break. Have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe and do good journalism. Thank you.